Section 2.2, Equations of Lines. So the first thing in this section the book discusses is point-slope form of the equation of a line. It's nice to know this form, but honestly, you don't even really need to know it. It's really a matter of preference. It's available to you to use, but really, as I'm going to show you throughout the notes here, you really don't need to know it. But anywho, so what is it? It's y minus y sub 1. So this is coming from the y coordinate of a given point, equals to what? The slope of a given line, right? Slope of a given line, times what? The quantity of x minus the x coordinate of a given point. So if you know the slope and you know a given point, you can use the point slope form. But as I will show you as we progress through this, you really don't need to know it. But anywho, let's keep moving forward. So what about this example? Find an equation of a line that has a slope of 2 and passes through this point 3, negative 7. So we know that m is equal to 2. So if we wanted to use this, you're certainly welcome to do so. The point slope form, you can go ahead and do this to come up with the equation of a line. So what does that mean? So y minus the y coordinate here, so that's negative 7, is equal to our slope, which is deuce 2, and then times the quantity of x minus x sub 1, which is 3, and then just solve it for y, okay, basically. So a negative times a negative is a positive, plus 7 here. Distributing the 2 through gives you a 2x minus 6. And then if you were to subtract 7 for both sides, you get y equal to what? 2x minus 13, okay? And again, I'll show you in a little bit that you really don't need to know this form to come up with the same answer. The next thing is the slope-intercept form of a linear function. So it's y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So using that form of our line, using the slope-intercept form, we can quickly come up with an equation of a line based on this given information. If we know the slope is negative 5, and they tell us the y-intercept is negative 3, that means that b is equal to negative 3, then yeah, just use this, y equals mx plus b, the slope-intercept form of a line. So the answer is just going to be using substitution, y equals negative 5x minus 3. Ooh, minus 3. I still can't draw 3. Jeez. Okay, anywho, your correct answer is y equals negative 5x minus 3. What about this one? Here we're asked to find the slope and the y-intercept of this line. So the slope is the coefficient of x. There's your slope. And the y-intercept is the constant term here. So the result here would be what? M equals negative 2/3. And the y-intercept b would be 4. All right? So hopefully that makes sense. All right, the general form of a line. So if you're looking at an equation of anything and it's set equal to 0, normally we say that's the general form of whatever that anything is. In this case, it's a line because we have an x term and we have a y term. All right, so if it's set equal to 0, it's the general form of an equation of something. All right, now in this case, both the a and the b, these two coefficients cannot be 0. If they were both 0, you would just have this, which would definitely not be an equation of a line. It would just be some statement that may or may not be true or false. So if you really wanted to, if it is in this form, you could know that the slope is equal to negative a over b, and the y-intercept is equal to this ordered pair, 0, comma, negative c over b. Why is that? Well, if you look at this equation, couldn't you do the following? Couldn't you do this? Couldn't you subtract ax from both sides and subtract c from both sides? This is something we did in chapter 1 when we had to solve for a variable. And right now I'm solving for y. I'm solving for y here. So at this point, I would divide everything by b. And if I wanted to, I now have this two-term numerator over this common denominator. I could break this up into two distinct fractions. So I could get negative a over b times x, and then this part, negative c over b, okay? Do you see where I'm getting the slope now? And the y-intercept now. All right. Okay, so in this example, we're asked to find the slope and the y-intercept of this general form of our line. And then it says write the equation in slope-intercept form. So look, if you really wanted to, you could say, okay, the slope here is what? There's your a. Let me write this out for you. This is a plus b, ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay. Now, if we wanted to, we could just look at this and say, all right, well, the slope is equal to what? We just talked about it. The slope is equal to negative a, so negative 4 over what? Over b, which is a negative 3. b is negative 3. So the slope is going to be 4/3. All right, and the y-intercept b, also something we just discussed, is negative c over b. So negative 12, negative c over b. All right, so the y-intercept is going to be 4. So we know that using what we just discussed in just a couple minutes ago. But since we're going to write the equation in slope-intercept form anyway, I mean, it'll work itself out, won't it? So watch. If I have this equation of a line in general form, and I am asked to rewrite it in slope-intercept form, slope-intercept form is what? Y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. And then I would isolate y then, right? I have to isolate y here, okay? Something else we just did when it was in this form. Okay, so we have what? Equals negative 4x minus 12. I just moved both these terms from the left to the right. And now I'm going to divide everything by negative 3. So when you divide everything by negative 3, let me just cut to the chase here. We get this. I just divided every single term by a negative 3. And lo and behold, we get what? We get a positive 4/3 x, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive 4/3. And then again, a negative, because look, if you add the opposite, negative over a negative, you still get a plus 4. So any way you slice it. So remember, this value is the slope. This value is the y-intercept. So we get the same thing, all right? I don't care how you do it. Just make sure you are following the directions.